Okay, 14th hole, 153 from the marker, par 3. Never really take much notice from the marker unless you've got no measuring device. So that is playing 148. It's minus 1 degree in terms of slope. So 148 is the current yardage I have. Now we're going to look at the wind. So because we're in a shelter spot here, the wind is really hard to judge. So on the prior hole, which is more open, I looked at the wind, and the wind is slightly into us on this hole. And it's probably about today half a club. So I'd probably say that's about 6 yards. So we've got 148 plus 6, 154. That's the flag. When we look at the green, there's 2 bunkers short. There's a bunker right more or less pin high. More room left than right. So my towardance, and it's very important we talk about towardance, not avoidance. My towardance is to be pin high, left of the flag or at the flag. So one of the things I do is look at the dispersion in my shots. So if I hold 3 fingers up like this, that shows me my dispersion. So the furthest right I'd want to be would be the inside the collar of the bunker. That means I should be aiming just left of the flag at the base of the tree you can see just left of the flag there. That's where I should be aiming. And that would give me, on an average dispersion of my shots, it means my furthest right shot would be to the right of the hole, but on the green, and left of the hole on the green. It means I have that span, that kind of aim point for long game. What we're trying to do is not short side itself in the simple par 3. We want to take a club that goes the right yardage. Again, we're playing 154. So we're going to hit a club that goes 154 yards, but we're also making sure then we're aiming at a point which gives us the best opportunity to make 2 or 3. We don't want to be making 4 in the simple hole in terms of a good player. Perspective. Even if you're a high handicap, we still want to try and plan the hole the same way. Your dispersion might be greater, so your aim point might be further left, or we might try and again bounce it through the bunkers if you've got to take a club that's not going to hit the carry and stop. Obviously with me, I'm going to try and hit a club that carries and stops. So 154, I'm probably going to hit a nice 8-iron. That's probably where I'm going to be with that kind of yardage. And again, I'm going to try and aim at that flag, and I'm just going to hit a nice controlled swing within myself, but still have that commitment. Never baby clubs, because then you start to lose commitment. The next phase of planning is tee location. Now again, because I want to be aiming slightly left of where the tee points me, I'm going to tee up on the right-hand half of the tee. And sometimes you might look for a divot or something on your line that fits your aim, so you can aim your club at. That sometimes is important too. Now, as part of my routine, what I'm going to do is make a golf swing that's working on what I want to work on my golf swing. So I'm just going to feel my club goes out a little bit more at the start, lays off a bit at the top, swings through and extends and rotates. And when I go and hit the ball, I'm going to have a simple thought like out, because I want to make sure I don't whip the club in, and extend and commit through the golf ball as my 2 key thoughts. Then I'm going to stand behind the ball and visualize and point my club at my target point, which I've already assessed, and try and pick a spot now 3 to 5 inches in front of the ball to aim at. Step into the ball, focusing only at that spot, aiming the leading edge to 90 degrees to that spot, get myself comfortable, stare at the target, waggle the club. Now I'm going to go ahead and execute the shot. So it's a fraction left of where I wanted it to go, and I slightly mishit it, but it's on the green. So from that point of view, part 1 of trying to make this hole in par or less is there. So the first thing I do is always leave my bag pin high, and as I walk back to my shot, I'm landscaping the green from a point of view of a distance perspective, but also I'm looking at the slopes, and I'm seeing this obviously go slightly uphill here in the middle, fairly flat around the hole. When it gets past the hole, it starts to slope down and away. And in this initial part, again, it kind of changes, it slopes downhill here and pretty flat where my ball is. Now my ball pitched just here, slightly mishit it. So again, from a point of view of reviewing, I'd be looking at, okay, it's about 10 yards short. So if I have the same yardage on another hole and the same wind, I might be taking the club more, or I might be just looking at it, is it all down to strike? Now, I'm also going to look at it from behind and just see what I think the slope is doing. Again, it's pretty flat. It does move both ways on its journey, as we saw. But I think if it runs past the hole, it'll start to move away from right to left. But I think it's going to hold this line pretty well before then. I will straddle the ball as well sometimes and just feel where my weight is. If my weight's favouring one foot more than the other drastically, then I use a bit of the aimpoint express kind of stuff around that if I wanted to. I'm going to hit this one pretty straight. Again, the make percentage from this distance is very small, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to try and make it. I'm just going to try and hit this on a good line and good pace. Goes in, it goes in. If it doesn't, then I'm pretty happy with a 2-putt. Practice strokes, I'm going to do one, looking at the hole, trying to feel I can get the kind of pace and length of stroke I want. Then I'm going to set up to the ball, aim, be committed, and then try and hit myself a very solid putt. Oh, there we go. Nice little 2. So the putt broke to the right and then broke back. Pretty much as we said, it had a few little journeys on its way, but it was a double breaker. So that was basically my planning and thinking around playing a short par 3. Again, I didn't execute the tee shot as I wanted to, but it was good enough, and because of where I aimed, I had a bit of scope to miss it left and right from my aim point to still be on or around the green. And obviously from the putting point of view, how I walked from the side, landscaped it, picked a spot, picked a line, accepted that I might not hole it, but also was trying to hole it, so it's not like a negative mindset on it, but also tried to just feel that I was going to aim it correctly and hit a good putt, and also did some practice strokes trying to get a feel for the distance by looking at the hole. Too many golfers get too fixated on just the ball and the strike and the stroke. We have to have a bit of flow, and we also have a bit of that natural instinct we have as a kid. If we're throwing a ball, how hard will we throw it and so on. I think that's key and important. Ideal world, we try and miss, obviously, the flag if we're going to miss it in the right spots. We talked about trying to miss it left and roughly about pin high. Looking at the green we're up here now, there's too much slope pin high, so just short pin high was actually probably ideal. So that's where we'd want to be. Even this isn't a bad spot to the right here. But if I miss it to the right of this green, I've got very little green to work with, coming out of thicker rough and bunkers, whereas there's more room to work with and more first cut stuff to chip from. So that would be the thinking around it. Hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, please click like and share the video. Also, please check out my rest of my videos, which are obviously of a more technical nature and more stuff that's going to help fix certain problems in your golf swing or golf game. But let me know if you've enjoyed this style of video and if you want to see me play a few more holes, because I want to add some of these in occasionally just so you can see that I do play and also how I think around the golf course and how I'd want you to think as a coach around the golf course.